Hi you guys, Melissa here with My Academy, wanting to show you today how to help students with some of the more difficult activities in their curriculum. In working with students, I have noticed that the lesson and unit activities are some of the most difficult for students to complete independently. These activities require students to use critical thinking skills and oftentimes read passages that are difficult and hard to comprehend. So I have found that teaching students a few tips and strategies has been helpful to support their independence in completing these assignments. So if you are working with students, in person, obviously you'd be sitting next to the student and being able to help them. But if you are working virtually with the student, students need to know how to share their screens. So to do this, I walk them through the process of sharing, which I'll show you how to do in Google Hangouts. Obviously, if you're using Zoom or other meeting platforms, it might be a little different, but in Google Hangouts, what you'll do is in the bottom right corner, you'll have the student click Present Now, and then choose your entire screen. When the student clicks that button, this window will pop up. Now you'll notice I have two screens. That's just because I have a monitor set up, but the student usually will only see one. So you'll tell them to click in the screen. I usually say click my face because if we're on video, they'll see my face, and then this button will turn blue so they can click share. This will allow you to see the student's screen and be able to walk them through some tips and tricks for completing these unit or lesson activities. So that's kind of the first step in helping them. So once I can see their screen, I have them pull up this lesson activity. When we are looking at the lesson activity together, I first guide students through reading and fully answering the question. So for this particular question, we would read it together, noting all the different parts of the question. So it reads, in this activity, you will answer questions based on your understanding of the main character and setting in the novel you selected. In 50 to 75 words, name and describe the main character of the novel. What do you believe is important to the character at the beginning of the novel? Use examples from the novel to support your question. So once we have read the question together, the next thing I do is teach students how to flip the question. So what that means is, basically just use that question to flip it around into a statement and start your answers. So to have that sentence frame. So for this question, we would say from here, right, the main character of the novel. So you would say the main character of the novel is, and then have the student say who the main character is. And then you can say, I believe something, whatever it is important to her at the beginning of the novel. I think this because the novel says, and then you can obviously have students use a quote. So it wants them to use examples from the novel. This would also be a really good place to teach students how to use the bullet points. Because, if you want a couple examples, they could give maybe 2 or 3 bullet points, and then you could teach them how to use a quote here. Right? And then they could do another one, use a quote here. Right? So kind of just giving them the structure of reading the question, understanding what the question is asking, flipping the question, can really help them kind of have a place to start. Because I know a lot of times when students get to these, they read it and they're like, I have no idea what this is asking. How am I even going to start this? So kind of giving them that skill of learning how to read the question, figure out what it's asking, and then create that sentence frame can be really helpful. Also, teaching students the purpose of these activities can be really helpful. So I tell students, it doesn't matter to me if you get every single one of these questions wrong, right? These activities are meant to see how much you actually know about the topic and help guide you through understanding the topic. So I first show them that they can check their answers, right? So the student has, drafted an answer here, and then I say, once you submit it, once you click submit, a sample answer pops up. So for this particular student, I know this student is reading the Hunger Games, so I would point them to this answer. So, okay, up here you wrote this, and this is what the answer is showing. So how did we do? Did we get it? Did we fully understand it? This is where I also talk about growth mindset and the idea that it's okay not to know everything, but rather the important thing is allowing your mind to stretch as you learn new things, which is kind of the main point of growth mindset, right? So this is where I also will point them to the self-evaluation. So teaching students how to say, okay, this was my answer, and this was the answer that they gave. How did I do? I kind of got a couple things right here, but in this self-evaluation, it asks you, right, how did you do? Right? Rate your work on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 as the highest score. So, I kind of got a couple points of the question correct here, but I was missing this piece. So maybe I would rate myself at a 3 or a 4, right? And reminding them that it's okay if they don't get it right the first time. That's not what you're scoring them on, right? You're just looking for them to try their best and learn from these activities. So one thing I've also found is that for some students, it can be super helpful when you're working with them virtually to work on these lesson activities in a Google document. So you can easily just copy and paste. You just would drag up here. So if these are the questions, you could copy the whole this whole activity, and you could paste it into a Google Doc, right? And what that allows you to do is, you would share it with the student. So you would click share and share it with the particular student that you're working with. And then you can work right in here with that student at the time that you're on a virtual call with them, right? So you can both work through it simultaneously. Then the student can easily, right from here, just transfer their work to the lesson activity. So they can copy it and come back over to the lesson activity, and they can paste their work right here, right? And then they can submit it and check their work. So I have found this helpful for some students, not all, but definitely, because there is a couple extra steps, but I do like the ability to be able to work in there with the student and maybe type out a sentence frame for them so they can answer it. So I know that these lesson activities can really trip students up and slow them down, but giving them a few of these tips and tricks to completing them can be helpful. Giving students confidence and specific tactics that they can use when completing them. So give these a try. Let me know how it goes. If you have any other ideas for how you help students with these lesson or unit activities, let me know, and I'd be glad to share them with everybody. So thank you so much, and have a great day.